My name is Chris. I'm 34 years old, and a few weeks ago I decided to take a short break from work. It wasn't anything dramatic, just that quiet kind of exhaustion that builds up over time. Long days, too much screen time, not enough sleep. I figured a few days away, somewhere quiet, would help reset things a little. I didn't want a hotel. I didn't want noise. So I drove out to a forest area I had heard about, a protected park with a few scattered cabins you could rent. Nothing fancy, just wood, trees, and space to breathe. The drive itself was already calming. The road got narrower the deeper I went, and eventually the city disappeared completely. Just long stretches of trees, soft grey skies, and a light, steady rain tapping against the windshield. By the time I reached the ranger station, the world felt slower. There was a small wooden building near the entrance, and a single truck parked outside. I stepped out of the car, stretched a little, and listened for a moment. Rain on leaves, wind moving through branches. That was it. Inside, the ranger looked up from a desk as I walked in. He was older, maybe in his late 50s, with that calm, quiet kind of presence people get from spending years in places like this. "Afternoon," he said. "Hey." I replied. I was looking to rent a cabin for a couple of nights. He nodded, reached for a map, and spread it across the desk. "There are a few available," he said, pointing to different spots. "These closer ones are easier to access, good trails nearby." I leaned in, looking over the map, and then I saw it. A small mark, farther out than the others, near what looked like a body of water. "That one," I said, tapping it lightly. "Is that a cabin too?" He glanced at where I was pointing. Just for a second his expression shifted. Not much, just enough to notice. "Yeah," he said. "That's a cabin. Is it available?" He hesitated for a moment. "It is," he said slowly. "Just not many people pick that one." I smiled a little. "That's kind of the point." He gave a quiet nod, but didn't smile back right away. "It's more isolated," he added. "Near the lake. Trails aren't as maintained out there." "That's fine," I said. "I'm not planning on hiking much, just resting." He studied me for a second, then leaned back slightly. "You sure you want that one?" There was nothing in his tone that sounded like a warning. Not exactly, just a question that lingered a bit longer than usual. "Yeah," I said. "I think that's the one." Another short pause. Then he nodded. "All right," he said. "I'll get you the key." The road to the cabin was quieter than I expected. It branched off from the main path and quickly turned into a narrow, uneven trail. Trees pressed in closer on both sides, and the rain seemed heavier out there, tapping steadily against the roof of the car. By the time I reached the clearing, the light had already started to fade. The cabin stood near the edge of a lake. It was simple, wooden, a little worn but solid. There was a small porch in front, and beyond it, just a few steps away, the water stretched out into the trees. The lake was still, almost too still. No ripples, no movement, just a flat, grey surface reflecting the sky. I grabbed my bag, stepped out of the car and took a slow breath. It smelled like wet wood and earth, exactly what I needed. Inside, the cabin was basic but comfortable. A small bed, a table, a chair near the window, and a compact kitchen area. There was a soft hum of quiet in the space, broken only by the sound of rain outside. I set my things down, made some coffee, and sat by the window for a while. From there, I could see the lake clearly. Nothing moved, not the water, not the trees, not even birds. Just rain, tapping steadily against the surface. That first evening passed quietly. I ate something simple, read a few pages of a book I had brought, and eventually lay down. The bed was comfortable enough, and the sound of rain made everything feel softer, slower. I don't remember exactly when I fell asleep. Sometime during the night, I woke up. Not suddenly, just gradually, like surfacing from a deep, quiet place. For a moment I didn't move, I just listened, rain, wind, and then something else. A soft sound. It took me a few seconds to place it. Footsteps, very light, slow, moving across the ground outside. I stayed still, staring at the ceiling, trying to focus on the sound. Step, pause, step, pause. It circled the cabin, not fast, not heavy, just steady, like someone walking without urgency. I told myself it was probably nothing, an animal maybe, something small. But something about the rhythm didn't feel like that. It felt deliberate. I turned my head slightly toward the window. The curtains were drawn. The sound passed by that side of the cabin, paused for a moment, then continued. After a while it stopped, just like that. No running, no fading away, just gone. I stayed awake for a little longer, listening, but only the rain remained. Eventually I drifted back to sleep. The next morning felt normal, calm, quiet. I stepped outside with a cup of coffee, letting the cool air wake me up. The lake looked the same as before, flat, silent. For a while I almost forgot about the night, until I looked down. There were marks in the ground, faint but visible. Footprints. They started near the edge of the lake and led toward the cabin. I frowned slightly and walked closer. The soil was damp, making the impressions clearer. They weren't deep, just enough to see the shape. Bare feet. I followed them with my eyes. They moved slowly across the ground, up to the porch, and stopped right at the door. I stood there for a moment, holding my coffee, trying to make sense of it. Maybe someone had been out there earlier, before I arrived. Maybe I just hadn't noticed. That felt like the easiest explanation. So I let it go. Or at least, I tried to. That evening the rain returned. Steady, soft, almost comforting. I kept things simple again. Food, a little reading, then bed. And sometime during the night, I heard it again. Step, pause, step, pause. The same slow movement around the cabin. This time, I didn't move at all, I just listened. The footsteps came closer to the window, stopped, stayed there for a few seconds, and then moved on. They circled the cabin again. Slower this time, more deliberate. At one point, they stopped right outside the door. I could feel it. Not hear it clearly, just that quiet sense that something was standing there, waiting. After a while, the steps continued, then faded. Again, no sound of leaving, no branches breaking, nothing, just silence. The next morning, I didn't even try to ignore it. I went straight outside. The footprints were there again. Clearer this time. Starting from the lake, moving towards the cabin, stopping at the door, no return, no second set leading away. Just arrival. I looked out at the water, still completely still. No ripples, no disturbance, just that flat, grey surface. For a moment I considered walking closer, seeing if there was anything unusual at the edge. But something about the quiet stopped me. So I didn't. By the third day I had already decided I was going to leave early. Not in a rush, not out of panic, just a quiet decision that it was enough. That morning I packed my things slowly, took one last look at the lake, still the same, still unmoving, And then I got in the car and drove back. When I reached the ranger station, the same man was there. He looked up as I walked in. "Back already?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, setting the key on the desk. "Figured I'd head out a bit early." He nodded once. "Everything all right out there?" I hesitated, then gave a small shrug. "It was quiet," I said. "Maybe a little too quiet." He watched me for a moment. I leaned lightly against the counter. "Hey," I added casually, "do people walk around that area at night?" His expression didn't change much. "Not usually," he said. I nodded slowly. "Yeah," I said. "I didn't think so." A short silence settled between us. Then he reached for the key. "Sometimes," he said, almost absent-mindedly, "the lake carries sound in strange ways." I glanced at him. He didn't elaborate, just set the key aside and gave a small nod. "Drive safe," he said. I left after that, drove back the same way I came. The trees slowly thinned out, the road widened, and eventually the world returned to normal. That night I slept in my own bed. No footsteps, no sounds outside, just quiet. But every now and then, when it's raining, I find myself thinking about that lake and the footprints starting in the water and ending at the door.